The sexual revolution of the 60s and 70s didn't happen just because of one cause. There were a whole lot of factors which played into it. We could say that the origin goes right back to the Garden of Eden, when the woman looked at the tree in the garden and found it attractive and desirable, and so tempted by the devil and lulled into believing that there were believing his promises of fulfillment and disregarding God's warnings of the consequences, she ate of the fruit. And I think the sexual revolution is very much like that: false promises and devastating consequences. If we look more recently, the Enlightenment, which put human reason above divine revelation, was certainly influential. The writings of philosophers and psychologists like Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung were influential. The Frankfurt School of Thought, the feminist movement, radical feminists like Simone de Beauvoir, who talked about throwing off the male yoke and the norm of marriage, which was restrictive for women. And then more recently we've seen the proponents of the transgender movement who say that our gender identity is what we decide it is or feel it is, rather than what our biology tells us. But two of the most important drivers of the sexual revolution were Alfred Kinsey, with all his research into sexual behavior in males and females in the 40s and 50s, which has since shown to be largely fraudulent. He created the idea that sexual deviancy was actually normal and that people should be involved in it. And there's no doubt also that the availability of widespread contraception gave people the feeling that they could avoid both pregnancy and sexually transmitted infection, where, of course, all that happens is that you perhaps reduce the chances of these things. So all of these things together, these cultural and philosophical factors, were all influential in creating what we now know as the sexual revolution.